Victor was a lonely young duke, cursed with the power to kill any living thing he touched. Everyone feared him except for Alice, his sweet and shameless maid, who took care of him by flaunting her assets and massive plots like it was part of the job. The scene opened with Victor sitting quietly at his desk, writing a letter to his parents. In it, he apologized, saying he was sorry that his deadly curse still hadn't disappeared. As he wrote, his mind drifted back to the moment everything changed. The day his touch accidentally killed a bird, and his mother, horrified, banished him from their home without a second thought. Snapping back to the present, he reached out to touch a flower on the table. The moment his fingers grazed its petals, it crumbled and died. Right then, Alice appeared at his side, completely unannounced. She leaned in close, her massive plots fully on display, giving Victor a shocking view of her plots. Alice poured Victor a cup of tea. As he took a sip, he let out a sigh and began to complain to himself, pointed out how she kept seducing him, even though she knew full well that his touch could kill her. But as he scolded her, his eyes couldn't help but drift just for a second towards her massive plots. Alice noticed immediately. She casually raised her skirt, offering him an even better view. Victor shot up from his seat in pure panic, cheeks flushed. He told her to stop the sexual harassment, as it made him ridiculously hard. Completely unfazed, Alice leaned forward and placed a cookie between her lips, giving him a wicked look. Victor froze, shocked, but he leaned in and took the cookie. The moment their lips nearly touched, his virgin ass almost died from pleasure. Later that day, Victor sat alone on a swing, gently swaying as his thoughts wandered to the past. He recalled with a hazy mind that he had been cursed when he was just 5 years old. The memory of the witch who had cursed him was, almost like a dream, blurred. By time, he had no idea what he had done to deserve such a fate. Ever since that day, his life had been filled with isolation. He was sent away to a remote mansion deep within the forest. He hadn't seen his family since. His thoughts were interrupted by the delicate flutter of a butterfly. Instinctively, he tried to avoid contact, but instead, his hand brushed against a nearby tree. The branch that supported the swing cracked and snapped, sending him tumbling to the ground as he recovered from the fall. Alice appeared above him, lifting the hem of her gown, revealing what's underneath, causing Victor's little Johnny to twitch.
Yes! Yes!
His face turned red immediately, and he warned her to stop doing things like that. She only grinned, claiming that his reactions made it all the more fun to tease him. Ignoring his protest, she raised her gown again, claiming she just wanted to cheer him up. Victor, flustered and breathless, reminded her that he was still a man, and if she kept tempting him like that, he might actually give in. Smirking, Alice stepped closer and pinned him gently to the tree. Without touching him, Anne playfully asked whether he ever wondered what it would be like to touch her. Victor's heart pounded as he struggled to find an answer. The next morning, Alice greeted Victor in bed with a bowl of water to wash his face. After he finished cleaning up, she brought him breakfast. Victor, still shaken by the events of the previous day, said he wasn't hungry, but Alice insisted, gently persuading him until he finally gave in. As he opened his mouth to eat, Alice froze, completely distracted by his lips. Victor noticed her intense stare and grew uncomfortable. She quickly apologized and awkwardly asked if he wanted to look into her mouth too, causing Victor to become embarrassed and insist on eating by himself. Curious, Alice asked him why he seemed so disinterested in meals. Victor explained that, ever since the curse, mealtime had become one of the worst parts of his day. Eating reminded him of everything he'd lost: touch, warmth, and human connection. After he finished, Alice cleared the table and informed him that his childhood friend wanted to visit him the next day. Victor was instantly anxious, considered canceling, but Alice told him it was too late. What surprised him even more was that she remembered Philip, and even overheard him rehearsing what to say when Philip arrived. For the first time in a while, Victor found himself looking forward to something, and he decided to change his outfit. Alice suggested he lose the hat, but Victor refused, claiming he'd look uncool without it. She disagreed and moved in closer, pointing out his unique features. Then, without touching him, she leaned in for a kiss, leaving Victor shy and speechless.
I'm gonna come. Oh.
Moments later, she returned with his clothes and offered to help him change. When he refused, she threatened to start undressing herself if he didn't cooperate, while changing into his tuxedo. Victor explained that he was very hopeful about the meeting with Philip. He explained that Philip had always treated him differently. He was the only one who didn't avoid him or look at him like a monster. He hoped they could be friends again. Alice helped him with his tie, though her chest ended up far too close to his face. Victor blushed deeply and asked her not to act that way in front of Philip. He didn't want anyone else seeing her like that. Alice reassured him that her teasing was reserved for him alone.
Yeah, boy.
When Philip finally arrived, Victor greeted him awkwardly at the door and tried to break the ice by bringing up an old prank. Philip grew uneasy and apologized, But Victor clarified that he did not mean it in a bad way. As Victor stepped closer, Philip's bodyguard intervened. They all sat down at the table, but the atmosphere was tense. Trying to keep things casual, he asked Philip what brought him here. Philip hesitated, then said he simply wanted to visit an old friend. He also noticed Alice and questioned her presence, making Victor uncomfortable. Victor explained that his usual butler was sick and that Alice was helping him in the meantime. During the conversation, Philip took out a cigarette, and his bodyguard leaned over to light it but accidentally hit the table, knocking over a vase. Victor instinctively reached out and caught it, but the flower inside died on contact. Everyone went silent. Philip looked horrified. He stood up to leave, asking first to use the restroom. Alice offered to guide him. On the way, Philip stopped her and told her to leave the mansion, saying it was too dangerous for her to stay with Victor. Alice refused, telling him to get his stinky breath out of her face.
So, that one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it.
Victor, who overheard everything, confronted Philip. He stepped closer, only to be blocked by Philip's cane. That's when Philip finally called him a monster. The word hit hard. Philip admitted that he didn't come willingly. He had been sent by Victor's mother, Gerber, to check on him. He added that there were rumors circulating that Victor's younger brother might inherit the family title soon. If that happened, Philip said, his family would cut ties with Victor entirely. As he walked past Victor, Philip confessed that he wasn't just afraid, he also felt pity. He insisted he was only telling the truth and said this will be the last time he will visit. Alice comforted Victor, but Victor brushed it off and asked to be called when dinner was ready. Later, Victor sat alone in the garden, silently reminiscing about all the memories he shared with Philip. With a knife in hand, he began cutting flower petals one by one, asking the questions he did not dare say out loud. Will the curse be broken? Will his family take him back? Does Alice truly like him? When only one petal remained, it suggested that Alice did in fact like him. Just then, Alice appeared and told him dinner was ready. On their walk back to the house, Victor opened up. He admitted to Alice that he didn't feel like he had the right to love her. He reminded her that he could not even touch her, and that he might never know the warmth of someone's skin. A hug, or the shared tears of love. Even giving her a flower was a cruel gesture, as it would die in his hands. Alice gently took the wilted flower from him and smiled. She told him that a withered white rose symbolized a vow to dedicate one's entire life to another. To her, that was more than enough. She then promised to help him break the curse, no matter what it took. Victor was moved beyond words. For the first time, he imagined a future where he might be able to put a ring on her finger with his own hands.